Good Sunday morning, folks, and thank you for joining us this weekend. I hope you all are having a fantastic weekend, enjoying your cup of coffee or your cup of tea this morning. Well, we're going to start off this morning. We're talking to Estela Rodriguez. Now, we are going to be talking about Alzheimer's.
Correct.
And we want to offer, you're talking about offering folks a place for comfort and to go to get, raising awareness and to get education about this topic, because I know it is a sensitive topic to be talking about.
Yes, exactly. We're very fortunate and blessed to have the partnership with Selah Hospice. They're going to have two presenters out there. Mr. Frank Lugo, registered nurse for Selah, will be leading the topic on Alzheimer's support. And we also are starting a grief support group. And Brandon Vale, he's a chaplain for Selah Hospice, also will be focusing on grief support and what, the different stages of grief and how we can get through, such a traumatic event.
Definitely.
On Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's is it's the sixth leading cause of death in the United States.
Wow.
So it's very prevalent in the United States. So it's very important to have a support group available where someone can go and talk to someone and talk about, their loved ones' experiences and what they're going through. Sometimes we might dismiss different phases of what they're going through as, they're a forgetful stage, or maybe they're just forgetting things, not realizing they're actually with the onset of Alzheimer's. Diagnosis is very critical. How do we diagnose the disease? So Frank will also talk about the different avenues. You could start with your primary doctor, or you might even be referred to your neurologist to go to have further testing as to diagnose the disease and what stages your loved one might be in. Also very important is to discuss the caregiver support. A lot of the times it's the family that is the caregiver for the loved one that is going through or has the diagnosis. So a lot of the times they experience caregiver burnout. So it's important to let the caregiver know there are avenues and there are resources where you can call people that you can talk to that are going through similar phases of the disease, and what can be done, or how you as a caregiver can live and cope with someone that has this particular disease.
Right, definitely. And let's talk a little bit about Alzheimer itself and kind of what it is, and maybe what are those first warning signs that maybe folks are noticing but they're not sure. That's just, what it might be associated with.
Yes. Alzheimer's is actually a neurological degenerative disease. A lot of the times, like I said, on the warning signs, sometimes you might see your loved one saying, okay, someone is coming in and stealing from me, or they stole the remote control, and you'll go and find it stuffed in the freezer. And that's not something that's normal for someone to do. We all misplace our keys or misplace the glasses or something, but that's normal. I mean, I do it, everybody does it. But when your loved one is doing things that are totally out of the ordinary, well, that should be a very big red flag, letting you know something. It's a little bit more than just natural forgetfulness with age. Or sometimes, unfortunately, they forget how to do things for themselves that everyone can do within their everyday life of bathing, dressing, maybe even toileting. When you notice that your loved one is doing things that are very out of the ordinary, that is definitely a red flag, and you should seek help from your primary doctor, like I said, to let them know something is definitely happening.
Right.
And like I said, there's always resources that you can go to. Your doctor can either refer you to a neurologist to have further diagnosis. This disease can attack anybody from any age.
Okay.
We've seen people as early 50s all the way to 60s, and unfortunately, this disease doesn't know age, doesn't know gender, doesn't know race. I mean, anyone can get this disease.
And is it something that's associated with your family history? Is it something that can be passed on through your family, or should you be worried about that?
I would say that I have heard that yes, it can be something that can be hereditary, but here again, that's where you really need to see your primary doctor, your neurologist, to get this diagnosed. But it can happen to, like I said, to anybody at any age, and it's very unfortunate when you see someone who is very young, in their early 50s, get the disease. Doesn't necessarily have to be that it could be hereditary, but like I said, it can affect anybody. It's a neurological disorder with the brain, so it has to be diagnosed.
Definitely. Now, with these support groups, is this the first time you kind of are offering something of this kind?
Yes, and it'll be an ongoing support group.
Okay.
The Alzheimer's group will be meeting every third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. and the grief support group will be meeting on the third Thursday of the month at 5:30 p.m. And it'll be at the Gardens at Brook Ridge Assisted Living and Memory Care Community. We do have a wonderful chapel. We can accommodate up to 30 people in the chapel. And I do urge everyone to please reach out to us. It is imperative that you do find support and get your questions answered about all of the diseases that our loved ones are going through. And then grief support, our chaplain Brandon Vale will be there to talk to people about the different phases of grief and how we can cope with losing our loved one, the next phase of my life. What am I going to do now that my loved one is gone? You don't have to go through this, by yourself. A lot of people tend to shut down and isolate themselves, and that's not necessarily the best thing for them.
And does that tend to make it worse when they don't have that kind of support group, or they don't have somebody to talk to discuss this?
Absolutely, it can definitely do. The isolation is just very, very detrimental to one's health. I mean, you start to shut down. You don't talk to family members or to your friends. You may not want to be involved in groups or activities that you were, very active with, and that is not the way to go. You really need to continue on with your life. I know it's very easy, for one to say that, but once you've gone through something like that, it's imperative that you do have to go on with your life. Your loved one would want you to go on with your life. So Brandon Vale, chaplain, will be talking about the importance of continuing on with your life. Especially if you have younger children that are depending on you, you have to, for the sake of your loved ones, have to continue with your life.
Most definitely. And why did you find the need to kind of work together and kind of host these different support groups?
We've seen a great need in our community where we do offer services for people with Alzheimer's. I mean, it's been ongoing. A lot of the times it's incredible how when we meet with people, we talk to them and they have no idea of, my loved one was doing this, and I had no idea that that's what they were going through, that it's, a symptom of Alzheimer's or a symptom of dementia. So, and one of the worst mistakes that someone can, as a caregiver, can do, you try to reprimand your loved one when they're doing something that is out of the ordinary, and that is absolutely the worst thing that you can do, because they're no longer aware of what they're doing or saying. So correcting them might just either agitate them and make your life harder because you're trying to correct them. The best thing actually is just to go along. If they tell you the sky is green, it's a beautiful shade of green. Just go along with them. Don't try to correct them. It's not going to help the situation, and like I said, it will agitate them more.
Right.
So we see the need. So many families have come to us, and we found the resources with Selah Hospice to come over, and they're going to be the presenters and lead the groups in both the Alzheimer's and also the grief support. So we have a great relationship and great partnerships, and they're going to do a great job for us.
Perfect. Okay, and Estela, right before we go, can you please just again tell us when those dates are for both those support groups?
Yes, it'll be on the third Tuesday of the month at the Gardens at Brook Ridge at 5:30 for the Alzheimer's support group, and the third Thursday of the month for the grief support, also at 5:30 at the Gardens at Brook Ridge.
Perfect, thank you. And of course, if you want more information, you can go ahead and call that number on your screen. That is 685-1520. Estela, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, folks, well, when we come back, hurricane season is here, and we are telling you all the things you need to know to stay prepared. We'll be right back.